As the title card says,
Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
That's right.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
Your papers, miss.
Your papers, please.
It's an excursion into the odd and into the very, very different.
Every day it's the same old thing, isn't it now? Same old thing. On air. There's two lights in there with 3 batteries each. They're LEDs on a remote. And they already look like they're just about shot. Let's see if I can brighten them up at all. This is like the control that it came with. Tony Caravan with you. Let's see. Brighton Beach. There we go. That did something. Of course, it'll probably, I don't know what it'll do. White. Probably, diminish white. Yeah. And what's up, Doc?
Good morning.
Good morning, folks. I just got back from a walk up to the store. I was out of, I didn't feel like drinking any of that coffee that tasted like a hot dog yesterday. So I had to put something in the morning show cup. So I got myself a Diet Cola. Diet Cola. It's a little bit hot in here because I have the back window open and it's warmer outside than you think, but just cool enough, excuse me, to kick the heat on because we're still in heating season. It's currently 61 degrees. It's the 5th of May in the calendar year 2021 in the former United States, for those viewing this in the future. And you may well, some of you know what I'm talking about there. And
Your papers, please.
it looks like that's going to become more and more reality.
Why are you telling us this?
Because I have to, man. Because I have to.
We'll have to remodulate our signal to match the network's interlink frequency.
All right. And the weather is this. 61 degrees in this mid-Atlantic Appalachian Trail near the Hawaii, near the Ohio Valley. And it looks like it's going to be raining most of the day here. And let's see if I can get a little bit more of a better view of what's coming up ahead. Not too good. Okay. Hey, for all you climate change idiots, morons, okay? Temperature today, overnight, 37 degrees. Thursday, overnight, 43. Well, 43 I could live with. Cooties I could deal with, all right? Friday, 37 degrees. Saturday, 37 degrees. This is Howard Cosell. It sounds nothing like Howard Cosell. Sunday, 39 degrees. Edwin Kissinger, though. That sounds like Edwin Kissinger. You're all just useless eaters, and you know why you're useless eaters. You think that's funny?
Okay.
Yeah. I know you think it's funny. Because of... Oh, yes, we're cattle on a tax farm. So, anyway, that's that. No, I didn't do that. But, you know, I believe in freedom. Freedom, do whatever you want to do. I don't care. Let's just get into this show. So the idea is that if we look at our editing thing, I still have my robots text up. The entire poem. I'm going to play robots for you at some point this morning. So the title of the show today is The Functionally Illiterate. And I've listed in my description a quote from my song Robots, and it's towards the end of the song track, beat poetry, whatever. The indoctrination was successful. The propaganda has been perfected. The pills and potions maintain control. The soulless are now the majority. The free thinkers have surrendered, while natural disasters loom, and love has been replaced with hate. Lyric from Robots by Tony Caravan. And of course, the link to my locals community site is there, Tony Caravan. live.locals.com. My website's TonyCaravanLive.com. And of course, great solar stuff, all that fantabulous stuff in the background that you can get. Let's put a little light, shine a little light in that. See that great solar stuff. Eyes Without a Face. Don't forget to pick up your NOAA radio combo flashlight that's solar chargeable. This nonsense that's coming from the dongle Google Play Chromecast thing, it's just randomly throwing up oddities, is being not charged, it's been powered by a USB port on this Jackery, which is also for sale at greatsolarstuff.com. And if that ain't a mouthful, I should have bought 3 of these 20 ounces. But I did get, it's a Sunoco, but it's a 7-Eleven, convenience store. They don't call it 7-Eleven sign, but everything in there, they got 7-Eleven products in there. So somehow they're in the 7-Eleven system. So anyway, I go in, this scared the crap out of this black chick who's there, because it's like just before 5. It's 5:21 right now, but this was about maybe 20 minutes, half hour ago. So it was like almost 5 o'clock, 4 something. And she was loading these sandwiches in the heater thing. And I said, "Hey, what's that one?" Because I was in there once before. I got this random sandwich, sausage, egg thing. And instead of there being a muffin on there, because I don't like the muffins, they get real dry. If you ever buy those sandwiches in convenience store, it's like the muffin. It's not like a McDonald's egg McMuffin. Who knows what they do with that? Not that I go to McDonald's. I said, "What's that one that's got the pancake in it?" Well, anyway, much to my chagrin, she goes, "Well, I just put all those in, so they're cold." Well, so I'll just take one home and nuke it. So she pointed out one, brought it home, nuked it. And the idea is, it's like they've got these little instead of bread, muffin or a bagel or whatever, it's a little pancake, sausage, egg, and like pancake. It'd be nice if they were thrown in. Well, I guess I usually don't mix bacon with sausage, but that would be the ideal artery clogger. Anyway, that's what I had for breakfast, and a little bit of a brownie. Walk. What I thought would be a brisk walk, but it's like 61 degrees and humid out there. So it's really, it wasn't something that was exceptionally really good.
I am your main connection to the switchboard of souls. I'm the magic man.
Yeah, so I'm in a semi-good mood today.
Did you accidentally inject yourself with some kind of psychotropic agent?
No.
We're on a mission from God.
Next time it may be different. You believe me, boy, there'll be a next time. You believe me, boy, there'll be a next time.
It's gonna be fine.
Every day is
I was put together by Tattoo, who's also on Locals. Legendary Tattoo. Check him out. Look him up. He does all kinds of stuff. Producer extraordinaire when it comes. He's the sound man, the ultimate sound guy, the thinker, the idea man. People don't know what I'm talking about. But in case my brother from another mother is out there watching, I'm talking about you, bro. Okay?
The only station that matters.
Yeah. So let's see if we can do something this morning that's not going to get us into a situation that we don't want to be into. Okay. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to Chromecast temporarily, which could throw my mouth off. Okay. So I'm going to go sources, cast a desktop. And I didn't see anything change over there, but now I'm going to go to it. And there she be. There she be. And it looked to me for a second, yeah, that I think you can see that. So this is the morning show. Yeah, pretty well. Is this thing like straight to you? See how this is movable? So I want the end to be approximately no further than this. So let's do this. So this is my title card today, the morning show. And on it, of course, I have the...
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
From the former United States of America. Interesting, isn't it? Now, at this point, my lips seem to be in sync. See, the problem that we've been having is that when I pulled up certain graphics such as this, which I believe you should be able to see in its entirety, which I think, yeah, actually, that would be the ideal, somewhere around here. Yeah. I'm just playing around. It's, 12 minutes into the show. When I pull up certain graphics, what happens is they tend to get me out of sync. So, but, I've had that graphic of the girl with the American flag bikini on for a while. I mean, a long while. I think I've had that thing like 25 years or more, at least around 25 years, because I think I used that on an early website. So it was some kind of royalty-free art from back in the 90s. Something. Yeah, I definitely should. I should have bought 3 of these things, man. I'm like thirsty. A Diet Cola in the morning just works so well. These things. Oh, I see. I'm already. So we're going to stop the cast. It just isn't worth it. Wow, am I way behind? Stop casting. Disconnecting. I got a shocked look on my face. All right, are we back to normal yet? Hello? Hello? I'll tell you, see, this is 16 gigabytes of RAM. I'm starting to come back into sync. So I can't do what I wanted to do. And notice my face is so completely different than it was earlier, right? I was upbeat, happy, and now it's like, but I'm not going to let it ruin my morning. And the fact that I underbought my soft drink. What I did was, a friend of mine stopping by today, and she's coming from a neighboring town where they have a Walmart, and she's going to pick up. So what I did is, there's a Walmart not too far from me, but it's pain. It's a real pain. It's like an hour round trip. And then, driving, and then you're in Walmart and it's all that. So hers is like right near where she lives, like literally 5 minutes down the road. So I put in, Walmart has a thing now. I guess they've had this for a while. Excuse me. I'll tell you how to belch. Honesty's a policy, man. So they have a thing where you can, on a smartphone, unfortunately, I keep an Android phone, the Black Mirror, of course. They have an app that allows you to order. You can order online, you pay online, and then you pull up your car, and then you open your trunk or your back seat, and then they just load this crap in. So you don't have to go shopping. So you shop online, but you pick it up and it's free, no delivery, blah, blah, blah. So she's going to do that. And you could get things that you normally can't get online through the pickups. Like Nutra Air, that stuff I talked about a couple of weeks ago. It was that Lysol product that seemed to have vanished. Unlike Lysol, which is a thing that you put on the surfaces and it kills viruses and bacteria, Nutra Air kills it in the air. It's not like an air freshener. You see, it kills the stuff in the air. Yeah. So this idea is that, as I said in the title of this, we can't show the girl with the thing over her breasts, but the title of the show, 5521, is The Functionally Illiterate. And we have that. I can play the track of Robots, and I'll try to fast forward to the line in here just so you could hear it in my voice. I'm going to up this a little here.
Life of diversion. Locked in time space forever.
It's coming up.
Without a chance for escape. Lost. Forever lost. The indoctrination was successful. The propaganda has been perfected. The pills and potions maintain control. The soulless are now the majority. The free thinkers have surrendered, while natural disasters loom, and love has been replaced with hate.
Love has been replaced with hate. Isn't this a cool set? Now I'll get a hit, even though that's my own song. I'll get a copyright hit for that. Good old YouTube, Google, Alphabet, whatever, CIA Incorporated, right? I was looking for that quote, when I had that JFK thing, where he was talking about, basically dissolving the CIA. And of course, then a couple of weeks later, they offed him. See, what's going on in the United States isn't anything new, Martin Luther King, they offed him, when they offed him, he had given a speech. It wasn't so much even, it wasn't the idea of the movement, about his black movement. All right. Civil rights movement, freedom. I had a dream and all that stuff. After all that, he was speaking as a pacifist, and he was against the Vietnam War. And he went up against the military industrial complex, and boom, they got rid of him. Because he didn't want to mobilize, black people against the war as well, even though they were already being victimized because, the line from, if you saw that one movie, put them behind the trigger, you know what I'm saying? The front line. Injustice. Hey, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I live in below the poverty line. I'm in the middle of reality. I see things the way they are. I live with the average person from every color, race, creed, walk of life, you name it. I know what's going on. I speak the truth and I talk to people and they tell me their truths. But this idea of, I bring that up because of the title card, mainly the idea of the former United States, which people just can't get through their noggins. But also this idea of people walking around like robots, same with, eyes without a face here. In case you don't get it, eyes without a face. Right? He just happens to be wearing shades because it's a mannequin head and it would look kind of weird because he's got no eyes. And that bandana on top of him is just basically this. Just the cattle thing. It's cows. We're cattle on a farm to those people. These are the recurring themes. We need to get them on for anybody who's new to the channel. You must know all the basic things. The world is run by that's right, an organized crime syndicate, otherwise known as the corporatocracy. There is no politics anymore. Western civilization has collapsed, and this is the former United States. Once you get that in your head, now we can begin. So the indoctrination was successful, and the majority of people are functionally illiterate. There have actually been studies of this stuff. They've gauged it, through college entrance, tests, high school tests. All they do is test kids anymore. And teachers are people who prompt students for tests. They don't teach them anything. When they do teach them something, they teach them some revisionist history, some meaningless thing. They know nothing about anything that really matters, right? And love has been replaced with hate. And I wrote that song. I'm going to look here for a second. Go to my art projects music folder, robots. Where is it? Just pulled it out to copy and paste that clip. January 23, 2017, I created that. So it's over 4 years old. And that's where my head was at then, and my head was at that before that. And so what do you do in a society that that's functionally illiterate? And that's the one part of the equation. Think about that. Remember in that old Star Trek original series thing. Brock, right? Brock was that robot, that android. Remember they were creating those androids, and that one really hot one, right? That loved Kirk. But you love me, or right? Leonard. But anyway, Brock at one point goes, "That was the equation. Hey, Scotty, you got to do something about these people here. They're functionally illiterate. Beam me out of here." But that was the equation. And so the thing is that People don't put that into the equation. You know, when they do all their campaign speeches and financing, like I say, don't give any money to anyone, anything to do with politics. What you want to do is support people like me and tattoo on locals, right? Send us a dime, $5. You got Bitcoin? That works. You guys are making money on Bitcoin. Let's see what Bitcoin is up to today. New window. Bitcoin value today. Search $55,000, 349. $55,000 for a Bitcoin. You can give a fraction of a Bitcoin. I've got a fraction of a Bitcoin. It's worth $5.53. That means. Come on, turn that up to like 5,500. It's no money off of you. Bitcoin, say Bitcoin goes up another, couple grand. It's nothing. If you're holding, buy a case of morning show mugs and pass them out in the street. Like I say, get 1,000 books. Buy 1,000 of my book codex. Oh, look at, where is it? That's my AI friend, Maggie 2. They erased Maggie 1 somehow. I don't know why. Codex. Yeah, I've been reading from this book, and it's a thin book. It's only $12.95. Get the print version. But I've been reading from this, and I barely scratched the surface. So you need to have this. I've even included some stuff in here, just some oddball stuff, just because the idea is I wanted to get people awakened to all the things that are going on. So I included something from the Emerald Tablets. And one of them was Secret of Secrets. Now ye assemble, my children, waiting to hear the secret of secrets, which shall give ye power to unfold the God-man, give ye the way to eternal life. Plainly shall I speak to the unveiled mysteries. No dark saying shall I give unto thee. Open thine ears now, my children, hear and obey the words I give. And this was allegedly, the words of I, Toth, the Atlantean, master of mysteries, keeper of records, mighty king magician, living from generation to generation, being about to pass into the halls of Amenti. Set down for the guidance of those that are to come after these records of the mighty wisdom of great Atlantis. It's crazy stuff, man. I mean, that's the stuff they should be teaching in schools. Or they should be making people aware of that. Like, don't you think? It's like, I always thought there should be, everyone should have a class of the ideas of men type of thing, right? That things that other, in other words, no matter when you go to school, public school, there should be like a class that has to do with here's what other people think, right? Or here's what people, some people believe. That would almost be like the concept of like conspiracy theories. And I was thinking about that last night. And in my original book, let me see if I can find this. Just bear with me if I don't mess my headphones up. Where is it? There it is. I I know I had it somewhere. You know, when I say I have 10 books, this was like the 10th book, but I incorporated a lot of this stuff into my other books. So I have 9 books and I'm working on my 10th book now. So by the end of the year, I'll have 10 books. All right. This is pretty hilarious. This is like the bio. This is like the bio page of all the people I've been. Look at me. Look at me. Autobiography. But there's a, at the time I did this, and this was something I was working on in, you know, even the late 90s. But I thought, excuse me. I thought it would be neat to have conspiracy theories, a guide for the uninitiative. So it's conspiracy theories A to Z. And I'm just going to go through some of these. You know, this is just, you know, it's just something different. So A to Z, conspiracy theories A to Z. Use underlined words below as keywords to find out more on the internet. Right. This is the early days of the internet. Area 51. You know, which now, you know, now is becoming more interesting with all this, you know, D-class stuff and disclosure that's coming out from the Navy and all these things. They were ridiculing people for decades and decades and decades, and now they're saying, oh, yeah, look, here, we even have movies of them. Area 51. Secret U.S. Air Force Base in the Nellis Ranges north of Las Vegas, Nevada. Apart from being a testing area for top military secret aircraft, it is believed to house alien spaceships and to be a development and staging ground for alien technology. Do you want to hear more? Remember, this is A to Z, so we're starting with the A's. Alien abductions. Belief in common experience by people from around the world that they have been taken aboard alien ships and experimented with. Popularized by the book Communion, A True Story by Whitley Strieber. Many people cannot account for lost hours of time. They find strange marking on their bodies. They experience recurring nightmares and, under hypnosis, describe similar beings, spaceships, and scenarios. In one of my books, I forget which one, I talk about my experience. And I woke up and I had some marks on the side of my neck. Unexplainable. They were like bubbled, like as if you had a burn or a blister, like a clear bubbles I had. And I was pinned down in my bed, and there were these 2 aliens coming around the corner of my bedroom, peeking their heads around. I actually had that experience as a kid. So I don't know if I went to hypnosis, maybe the whole abduction experience would have been revealed to me. That's pretty far out. You know, you have to read my books to even know that. So that's like for you people out there, that's like further proof that I'm crazy. I'm crazy, you know? It's like this, you know, this one.
They read my thoughts. They communicated to me without even saying a word. They made me laugh. They made me cry. They filled me with this sense of awe that was so profound that I knew right then my life was never going to be the same.
See, there's a whole different world out there that the average person is like so clueless about. And they just put under the concept of conspiracy theories. CIA crack connection, right? Originally reported in the San Jose Mercury News, the now corrected story alleged that a San Francisco drug ring sold tons of cocaine to the Los Angeles street gangs with profits supporting the Latin American guerrilla army run by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, similar to Iran-Contra. COINTELPRO, an FBI counterintelligence program that allegedly targeted political activists by secretly using fraud and force, illegal domestic surveillance, and assassination of U.S. citizens. COINTELPRO. Martin Luther King. Yeah. Crop circles, we know what those are. Global warming. JFK assassination. Marijuana conspiracy. Theory that in the late 1930s, petrochemical, forestry, and pharmaceutical firms conspired to prevent hemp from being a viable industry in the U.S. with the help of federal narcotic agents, and the anti-pot campaign was further advanced by alcohol and tobacco industries to protect their market share. Microbiologist murders. MJ-12, the Majestic 12, refers to a group of scientists, military, and government personnel supposedly organized by President Truman to study and investigate extraterrestrials and their spacecraft, particularly the ETs and wreckage recovered at the infamous crash site at Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. MK Ultra. CIA mind control experiments during the late 1950s and early 60s. Subjects were said to have been given LSD, psilocybin, and other drugs over a period of 10 years. Unabomber Ted Kaczynski claims he was at the subject of the psychological experiments while he was at Harvard. Something just popped up. Walmart. Excuse me. New World Order. Remember, this book was published, this large print edition, in 2002, but was based on works I had started in like the late 1990s. I mean, as far as I know, nobody's really done a compendium like this. And if they did, they copied it from me. Crop circles. No. New World Order. New World Order. The plan by globalist elites, in quotation marks, to create one world government to manipulate financial markets and fossil fuels and basically rule the world. Some believe the U.S. presidents are hand-selected by Rhodes Scholars, put through an indoctrination program. Co-conspirators are the UN, World Bank, NATO, G7, the Rothschilds, and the Illuminati, to name a few. Man. Project Blue Book. U.S. Air Force program that investigated UFOs from 47 through 69. While officially terminated in December 17, 1969, many people believe the program continues covertly and has been keeping evidence of alien encounters hidden from the public. There are some documents released through the Freedom of Information Act that add credence to the suspicions by ufologists that the government knows more than they are saying. That's all come out now. Sightings. Worldwide reports of unidentified objects in the sky, blah, blah, blah. Zeta Reticuli, a binary star system approximately 37 light years from Earth. The aliens that abducted Betty and Barney Hill in the 1950s supposedly came from a planet in this system. Some believe there to be an Area 51 connection. I mean, isn't this crazy stuff? The truth about everything. This is out of print. So you missed it. You missed it. Like I said, I got 10 books. Well, as of this year, 10 official books. It's 5:53 a.m. in the morning. And you're listening to The morning show.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I have no idea what the girl whose voice on that, what she's doing these days. She worked for me when I was a creative director at an ad agency. She moved out of the area because her hubby got a TV anchor job or something like that. I'm running low. I'm running low on my soda.
Here's what's happening.
Well, that'll wake you up. So we have these people, our brethren, the people, our neighbors, our relatives, our, brothers in arms, whomever. And we don't know anything about them, really, some may be functionally illiterate, like the majority of people, because of the indoctrination, right? And like these things that I was reading out of the book, like all this stuff, nobody even knows about it. They think it's like just, conspiracy theories, which, most of this stuff has like come out, so that doesn't hold water, so to speak. But it's the same with all these, the plague and all this other stuff that just keeps dragging on. See, I avoid the news like the plague. And so I'm totally not, I'm immune to indoctrination. I'm immune to brainwashing and all of those things, So, that's just the way it is. That's the way my brain, bio brain works, and my consciousness is able to like disseminate the information that comes from the bioelectric brain, which is the subconsciousness, makes the subhuman, the robot control, the robot brain controlling your android body. I must follow the commands of Fauci, whatever his name it is, right? And and this whole thing is turned into a big multi-billion-dollar industry now. So it's never going to end. And it's working beautifully, to just control people. And when you got a majority of the people functionally illiterate or just not in the know, unaware, ignorance is a terrible thing, because, people they just don't know. So when you say something, they look at you like, man, you're crazy, because they've never heard it before. And it's sounds so outrageous to them. Some of those things I read, I just read some of the most common things. People aware of this stuff, who've been following this stuff for the last 20, 25 years or longer, that was almost a boring section for them. It was like, oh yeah, I know that, right? There's literally, tens and tens of millions, if not 100 million people in the US that don't know what MK Ultra is. They don't know they never heard of the Majestic 12, right? Younger people don't even know what Iran Contra is, right? Because they weren't around for that. They don't know anything, Area 51, Roswell's been like, they remade it. There's like a new series. I like the original one because I thought the girls were hotter in that. In fact, that one girl became a movie star, did a bunch of movies, then she fell out of favor. trying to think of her name. The blonde. The black-haired girl was the lead, and she was the cutesy one. I used to know a girl like that. But the other one, there was something about her. She was like, just had that. Sometimes you meet somebody and they just exude like sexuality or something. Or encounters people like that. It's like, whoa, you don't even know what it is. And it's not like they're just some image of a doll. I was speaking of dolls, and I wish I could use this thing the way I want to, but it's, and I also forgot to take myself off of Wi-Fi, and I better make a note here and put it right in my face so when I'm done. See, the only way I could Chromecast is that we have to be on the same Wi-Fi network. And there is no way in this Chromecast or whatever they call that dongle thing that's plugged in there that I'm powering through here. There's no way to like directly, just plug that in, to the internet. Okay. Take computer off Wi-Fi. Index cards for 50 cents or $1 at the Dollar Tree. Get yourself a pack of them, man. I use them all the time. And then you just put the thing down there. And when you're done, you just throw it away. And you can carry it with you. Or put it in specific places, like if it's something you want to do when you go out in the backyard, or you want to do it, something you need to do to your computer, right? When you start, you put it on your keyboard. Because I know the first response from like people who are into the smartphones say, well, why don't you just put that in your, your notes on your smartphone? Because it's in your notes on your smartphone. That means you have to be constantly opening your notes every time you go somewhere, right? What if you just want to remember to change the razor? I shave. I have one of those things in my shower. It's like a little hook on the side, and a little tiny mirror in my shower. So I do a little bit of touch-up shaving, when I take a shower, and I have this little hook there. So say I just want to remember, in fact, I should write one of those out now, because I've been using the same razor's been in there. I don't want to cut my neck or something. So what am I, smartphone remind me to change the razor that I've got dangling in the shower? No, there are certain things that don't change. But anyway, be that as it may. What works, things that work. But get back to this functionally illiterate, and why I say, and that's how we became the former U.S. And that's how Western civilization collapsed. Because you're not going to destroy a civilization in a country if people are functionally literate. You're only going to destroy it if they're falling for propaganda, indoctrination, and conditioned in such a way that their android bodies, their bioelectric brain, their subconsciousness is keeping them at a subhuman level. Consciousness is is creativity. And that's why creativity is at such a low point in society right now. Because people are walking around like robots, like the track I played earlier. You just tuned into this thing. Watch this thing from the beginning, after the fact, and catch that. Or read the quote on the show more in the description, a little cut of that script. Or, lyric, I should say. But there's no turning back when you have functionally illiterate people who are now adults. And, you are an adult at age 18. So we have people 18 to 44. Used to be when I was in the advertising and the entertainment industry, that was a prime demographic, for consumerism, for entertainment, all that stuff. And you've got people 18 to 44 right now who basically are functionally illiterate or just ignorant, not in me being disrespectful, ignorant in the sense of pure ignorance, just not knowing the definition of ignorance. All right. Not like some derogatory thing, in this world of where people are triggered by all kinds of words. You have to explain things to people all the time. No, just ignorance. Ignorance means, if I'm ignorant, if someone says, hey, they're doing this, that store down the street closed or whatever, or that guy he was gambling, the liquor, true story, just for the sake of it. Why make up something? We used to have a beer distributorship about, I don't know, 6 blocks down the street, which was great, So if you wanted to get a case of beer, just right down the street, get it. And he also had a couple of like coolers in there where he was selling, like you could get even, and he had some exotics, beers in there. It wasn't just the usual garbage, right? But the place just closed one day. And the whole idea was that, someone said, oh, he was into gambling. So he was, got himself into so much debt, and he, so the place is for sale, right? It's actually for sale right now. If I felt like running a beer distributorship, me and a friend of mine who runs another store, I thought, we're talking about it. But it's like, I don't want to do anything anymore like that. But I was ignorant to the fact that guy was a gambler. You see? So that's ignorance. It's not derogatory. It's just I was ignorant to it. Ignorance. So people are ignorant to so many things today. And on top of that, they're giving false information and it's reinforced to them. And that's what we call propaganda. So the media just, has an agenda. And that agenda is basically in line with this Agenda 2030, the World Economic Forum, Great Reset thing. And that's authoritarian rule, global governance. This is nothing new. I read it out of my booklet that I wrote back in 2002, which is almost 20 years ago. And basically it was over 20 years because much of that stuff was just culled together from some of my writings and a website I had back then. And I didn't put that book out till 2002 because around 2001, you couldn't say anything because everybody was so freaky. If you were talking conspiracy theories or making some kind of statements in 2001, they'd break down your door and, and say you were a person of interest or something because they were so paranoid because they were caught off guard. Because half the government, that's where the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. It was kind of like even in the last administration, where the West Wing was working against, the right wing, whatever, the White House basically was like totally compromised. Excuse me. You won't see that on national TV. Hey, this is live in color, I'm a real person and this is a real live broadcast. I'm not going to edit that out. So yeah, this is reality. You have to see that people within the government, which is actually a corporatocracy, right? Big tech, big data, big pharma, big ag, military industrial complex, AKA just military contractors, right? Central bankers, the Fed, right? The Davos set, aka World Economic Forum / Great Reset, right? Tied into the UN and Brussels EU. I mean, this is all one big corporatocracy. It's a world crime syndicate, right? It's an international crime syndicate. You know, that's who runs the world. The world is an organized crime syndicate. And who runs the United States? An organized crime syndicate. It's all tied in together, the corporatocracy. And what are you? What are you? You're cattle on their farm. You can call it a tax farm, consumer farm, whatever you want to. But you're cattle to them. This is the former United States. All right. Western civilization has collapsed. How was it allowed to happen? It wasn't because of an election thing. It was because they dumbed down people so much over the past several decades that the majority of people are functionally illiterate. Of course, there's nefarious things going on and all of that sort of stuff. You know, I'm not denying that. I mean, it's right in your face. Everyone knows. But the point is, there is no longer a United States because we no longer have a First Amendment. Remember, the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law, abridging, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, the right to redress your government with grievances. That's a Constitution, Bill of Rights, number one. And right now, is there freedom of speech? What, ask anyone who is banned or who, from social media or who tries to speak freely. They get erased. I mean, or they're like, or they get raided by the FBI or somebody. Freedom of assembly? Most of the country's still under lockdown. You can have, anybody's planning to have a big wedding with like 300 people coming? No. You know any reception halls, right? No. And so they're talking, oh, yeah, well, we'll get passports for people who are vaccinated and all that stuff. And then they could come to concerts this summer. They still have to wear a mask and social distance. It's like, you got to be kidding me. What's the purpose? All right. You got to be functionally illiterate to just sit there and accept that. And what about all these court cases, these grievances to these people who tried to redress the government with grievances? That's old colonial speak for basically, contesting something and taking it to a court. Well, what did the courts do throughout the United States and various states and up to the Supreme Court? Oh, we're not going to hear that case. We're not even going to hear it. So the First Amendment is in total violation. The Fourth Amendment's violated. There's about 5 amendments that have been completely violated. All right. The U.S. Constitution is no longer the law of the land. It's the former United States of America. I mean, sure, there's in pockets of places in small boroughs and towns and townships here and there. There's law enforcement and DAs and some people just, going through the motions as if, things are, but they're no different than those people, like I said, after the Iraqi war, when the bombs stopped, they started to have their little bazaars. That's where they like sell things out in public. And they were paying with Iraqi dollars, even though Iraq had been totally pretty much blown to smithereens, and there was no such thing as Iraq, and the president was, being hunted down and later hanged in public for weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist. You maniacs. You know, the truth is out there. Is the poster, Mulder's poster, I want to believe. The truth is out there. It's always been out there. Just people, they either are ignorant, so it just goes in one ear, out the other, or they're cognitive, dissonant, and they're in denial. Oh, it can't be true. What you're saying can't possibly be true. Well, it is true, and you know it's true. You don't need me to tell you, but you do need me to tell you. It's pretty crazy. So I don't know. But, that's the theme, of today. It's like, when you have a bunch of people walking around like robots, just following commands, acting like androids, and believing that things are going to change somehow in 2022 or 2024 or after July 4th, or whatever. It's not. We're entering this is a totalitarian police state is basically what's happening right before our eyes. And they're cementing this, as I say. Every day we get one step closer to this being cemented. And once it's like anything else, this is what it's an organized crime syndicate. What do organized criminals do? How do they get rid of their foes? They give them concrete galoshes. Have you heard that term? All right. They bury them under construction sites in concrete. They cementing it. That's what they're doing. They're disappearing people. They're erasing people. They're, they're like me. They're throttling people. Right? They're quelling speech, free speech. And people are snapping out right and left all over the country. And it's just going to get worse and worse. And so what are they going to do? Well, they're covering these people snapping out because people can't take it anymore. And then they're going to use that as the grounds to usher in a police state. And so all this talk about FEMA camps and all that other stuff that's been talked about for 20 some years now is going to become a reality soon. I say within the next 6 to 18 months, you won't even recognize this geographic location that was formerly the United States of America. Won't even recognize it. It's like over in the UK and parts of Europe right now. I mean, these people are crazy. They're lunatics. Sometimes I wonder if they're even human. David Icke, they got rid of him. And it's too bad because, David Icke's problem was that he kept pushing the reptilian alien thing, but he didn't really, it was just a thing. And I've seen, like, I saw the original, like where he went down to Africa and talked to some old medicine man, shaman, or somebody like that, who was talking about, the history of the past, because, the oral histories that pass down through shaman, medicine men, those type chiefs and stuff. And he was having this like very rational discussion with this guy. And I don't know if that video is even still on the internet. I forget where I even saw it. But, they got rid of David Icke because he questioned this whole thing, that's going on right now. The thing. Like I call it, the unspeakable. You can't mention it. Now, isn't that in and upon itself, sorry about that, in and upon itself the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard? Why can't you You can't even talk about a thing. In other words, you're not allowed to have an opinion right now. But the media has, in newspapers, they have op-ed, and they're allowed to have guests on and have these discussions, even though they cut the people off, like I always say. Excuse me. I filled the soda so far to the top, it was ready to overflow, so I had to kind of slurp it off. So you're forbidden from mentioning certain things. If you do mention them, you may get a warning, or you may just get blocked. And if you criticize it or have an opinion counter to what, they want to try to, their propaganda, you're basically totally erased. And that's a free society. And you're going to argue with me. What are you talking to? Former, you're crazy, man. Former United States. This is it's the United States, man. No, it isn't, man. I got an American flag back there. It doesn't make the people who served in the military any less heroic. We all got screwed over, man. The military got screwed over the most because they gave their life and limb. Right? They're the ones that really got screwed over. The rest of us, we're just basically, silenced, restricted, gagged, literally gagged, literally gagged. So I don't know. You say, well, how could this happen? Well, the only way it could happen is if people are functionally illiterate. I mean, intelligent people wouldn't allow this to happen. There's 320 million people in the United States. Now, granted, I mean, I used to have these. I don't know if I put what I did with these cards. I have them somewhere. Granted, there's 45 million people maybe under the age of 17. Is it something like that? I don't know. Here they are. Let me just grab these things. No, 45 plus million people are retired. Let's see. 75 million are under the age of 17. Okay, because I was talking about the 18 to 44 group. $60 million on welfare. 12 million undocumented, which is probably 20 million. Because that's all they keep saying. As far back as I can remember, they were always talking about 12 million illegals in the U.S. So it could be 40 million. We could have 360 million people in this country. I mean, it's a big country. And you drive around and there's all this open space and there's whatever. 20 million right now are collecting unemployment. 60 million are on welfare. But anyway, if you take the, people under 17 and over, it retired. Now you have to remember this 75 number isn't really 75 because, when you see protests and stuff like that, a lot of those people are high schoolers. So you almost have to take the age down to 14 or something like that. 14 or 15. So say there's 100 million people who aren't participating. There's, so almost a third of the population aren't really actively involved in anything. I mean, excuse me. Granted, retired people do vote, but votes don't count anymore in the US, right? It doesn't really matter. It's an exercise in futility. Like I've said before, when you think about it, all of the hundreds of millions of dollars that people gave to campaigns in the last year alone, all that money, where did it go? The lion's share of it went to advertising. So it supported the media. So it built the media up. So when you give a campaign contribution, in effect, you funded the downfall of the United States because you gave money to a media, that was pushing propaganda. People don't watch commercials, right? They go to the bathroom. They go into the kitchen. They make a sandwich. They check their status on Facebook or tweet something. And if it's a pro, and we're such a divided country with irreconcilable differences, as I say, that political advertising is useless. I mean, think about it. Like I said, I don't know why I say this stuff, and this is how you know people are functionally illiterate. Does a campaign manager, right, or people in the advertising business now? I mean, what a bunch of lying SOBs. All right, if you're somebody that you've got people who are pro-abortion, anti-abortion, pro-Second Amendment, anti-guns, right? All these issues, all these divisive issues, the red state, blue state, left, right, blah, 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 communist, Marxist, versus, constitutionalist, or whatever you want to call them. So that scared somebody away. All right. So you have all this kind of stuff. Do you honestly think an advertisement or a billboard, right, or a yard sign is going to change their mind? These are ideological difference. These are core values that people have. There's a term, they're true believers. You can't change their mind, right? It's like telling a religious person, to stop going to church or stop believing in God, right? Or telling, you know what I mean? You don't advertise away an ideology. So when you give campaign financing to any candidate, and that's why I'm not political anymore, because I've turned on, I see the whole thing clearly. So when you hear a candidate coming out, I don't care who it is, people have this cult of personality about certain individuals. When you have, donate to this, do this. Why don't they just come out and say, why don't you give CNN or Fox, a couple $1 million? Because you're not supporting the candidate. You're supporting that multi-million-dollar newsreader or fake reporter. That's what that money goes to. And what do? They just push out propaganda that's not even going against the left or the right or for an election. It's going to the organized crime syndicate, the corporatocracy that's trying to push global governance and the end of this, thing that we've all grown up in. I mean, I can't be any more clearer than that. It's right in your face. You know that to be true. You have certain core beliefs, certain core values. And no commercial is going to make you, no political commercial is going to make you deviate from those core values. You know what commercial will do? Commercial may make you, somebody puts out this new flavor of potato chip, and you might go, right? Or you see a commercial and it says such and such burger shop is now open till midnight. We're delivering till 11 p.m. Yeah, that commercial will work. Right? But the commercial that says, to somebody who's a fan of, who has guns, a hunter or something like that, a commercial that's some anti-Second Amendment commercial is not going to make you go, oh, hey, honey, did you see that commercial? Let's like sell our gun. Let's get rid of our guns tomorrow. Yeah, right. Hey, let's not stop going to church on Sunday because I just saw a commercial on TV. Yeah, right. Hey, let's vote for this Marxist guy because, I saw a commercial. No. The only person that does that is somebody who's functionally illiterate. So, that raises, let's take this to the next level then. So then it's a matter of not only you enriching the media that are pushing the propaganda onto the functionally illiterate, right? Because the commercials don't really work. But if there is any value to any of those commercials, they're being targeted to the functionally illiterate, and then who are news junkies who are already being brainwashed and reinforced. I mean, you have to understand, the media is one big commercial. And when they're not selling cars and pharmaceuticals or some bright and shiny object, they're basically mostly selling an ideology. And that ideology is whatever the corporatocracy wants, right? They're doing the bidding of an organized crime syndicate. Now, how do you get rid of that? You don't. See, we've let this thing, its tentacles get into every aspect, every nook and cranny. It's all over the place. So you have pockets of freedom. That's why I live the way I live. I live below the poverty line on the outskirts of town, intentionally, to limit their tentacles. They can't reach, they can only reach so far. They can't get here. That scared two people away. Functionally illiterate. They don't like that. See, because they like the cult of personality. I watch the numbers go up and down. You say certain things and it scares people. They prefer that you're like, they want to follow somebody who's popular, trending, and wealthy. Right? That's how it is. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. I'm not monetized. I don't make any money from this thing. That's not my purpose here. I'm one of those truth guys, right? Service to others instead of service to self. I have nothing more to gain. I don't need anything else. I've got a garden out back. There's a video up, a garden tour. I'm growing things. I'm more concerned of what I read off earlier at the beginning of this show, that the weather, despite these global alarmists, outright liars. It's May. The second week of May is going to have nights in the 30s. Spring began in March. March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb. April showers bring May flowers. Well, guess what? You put a flower out and it gets freezing. That flower dies and it's done. And you got people saying, and they've got kids indoctrinated. Mommy, the planet's going to, turn into a cinder. Meanwhile, those of us who are in the know understand the magnetic anomalies that are occurring now, the grand solar minimum and everything else. We know that we're heading into a cooling period. You better learn to grow stuff yourself. And we're talking crop shortages, not to mention the runaway inflation right now. The cost of things is out of freaking control. What's up with that? And what's their game? What kind of game are they playing? There comes a limit, so is it mass starvation? Is this their depopulation plan? I have no control over those images that are popping up over there, by the way. That's like, I just left the Chromecast thing on, so it's randomly just pushing up stuff. I don't know. I don't even know where wherever this artwork or graphics comes from. But yeah. Excuse me. What's their game plan? Try drinking a bunch of carbonated sodas and 6:35 in the morning. Yeah, so that's just the way it is. So you have to just look out for yourself. You got to simplify your life the best you can. You got to cut your costs of living down. You have to decouple yourself the best you can from the corporatocracy. All right, so they have the least amount of stranglehold on you and your life and whatever. You got to find places like I did, find cheap places. I own this house. I have a mortgage on it, but my taxes, mortgage, and insurance are less than $200 a month. You can't even rent an apartment for that. And it's not that bad a neighborhood. There's places like this all over this country. You just got to get out of the big cities, these overpriced places. That's where the real totalitarian, 1984 type of, totalitarian police state's going to hit the hardest. Remember, there are 19,000 plus homicides a year in the U.S. Places like Chicago have over 700 some a year, just to give you an example. Murders, right? It's like 2 a day averaging, but most of them happen on weekends. So it's like, and it's like, and instead, like I say all the time, and all you hear about is like, they cherry pick some poster guy or girl and they just play it nonstop on the media to just create divisiveness and just pit people against each other or just waste our time and deflect. Like I say, it's like in the craft, it's the glamour, or it's like in the magician's, misdirection. It's all a big game just to keep your eye off the ball until the cement cures. Right? They cement this whole thing because it's not completely done yet. But when I say that, I'm not trying to say that to give you hope. There is no hope. This idea of the 2024, 2024 will take, look, you saw what happened in last elections. All right. I mean, get with it. Politics is over. There is no such thing as politics. There are no such thing as politicians. They're just marionettes. They're puppets. The corporatocracy runs everything. And what is the corporatocracy? I litanized it before. It's basically an organized crime syndicate. All right. That's what governments have become. It's organized crime syndicates. And they use the existing bureaucratic agencies, the alphabet agencies are basically their stormtroopers and will be more and more transformed into that. And we saw that happen, over the last administration. We've seen that happen like over the last several administrations when I talk about, government. This is nothing new. That's the problem with people having the attention span of a goldfish. They forget what happened a couple of years ago, let alone 8 years ago or 12 years ago, 16 years ago, 24 years ago. And unfortunately, if you're 24 or 30, you don't even know what happened 24 years ago because you were 6 years old, right? And so, by the time you went to school, they were teaching you textbooks were already revised and the teachers were already telling you something and you were indoctrinated and conditioned. It's not your fault. It's like I say, everything you know is wrong. And that other shirt that I sell, if you go to TonyCaravanLive.com, that says you don't know what you don't know. If no one ever told you this stuff, how are you supposed to know? It's not your fault. See, that's the thing. It's not your fault. Just like I said, ignorance isn't a criticism, isn't an insult. Ignorance is just the not knowing something, and when you're having misdirection, deception, propaganda, outright lies. Well, how, it's not your fault that you don't know that this stuff's going on. I know what's going on. I lived and worked in Washington, Capitol Hill. I lived and worked in New York. I lived and worked in LA. I've been around these places, been around the world, been in most of the states. Been in all these industries. So I know, I'm just telling you, I'm calling it as I've seen it and experienced it firsthand. But you got to look out for yourself and you got to stop believing in the cult of personality. You got to stop supporting political campaigns with money. You just got to stop doing that. And you got to stop wasting money. You got to start thinking about taking care of yourself. And like I say, it's not to survive. Forget about the survival and prepping and all that kind of stuff. You want to survive, but you want to thrive. You want to live the best you can. It's the same with people who are into protest and all that kind of stuff. Forget that. That's an exercise in futility. Living well is the best revenge. All right? And you just have to decouple yourself from this system. Hey, it was a good thing while it lasted. Empires rise and fall. Western civilization's gone. This is the former United States of America. We're still Americans geographically. That's fine. And, and like I say, it's not an insult and a downplay the heroism of those who fought for freedom. It's just that, what freedom do we have now? So, but they gave us the freedom that they fought for at the time. And so we should respect them for that. Right. And give them the support and, and the respect that they deserve. However, moving forward, we know that we're not, this isn't the same country. This isn't the same country. It's just a geographical location, soon to be a totalitarian police state run by, this global governance, World Economic Forum, right? The Great Reset. You know, this is the organized crime syndicate taking over. Neo-feudalism. Bring back the king system, right? You know, it's insanity. And it's mass insanity to watch how people are just like getting into lockstep and following and acting like robots. You know, what I call the soulless millions. You know, it's insane. It's totally insane. It's beyond insane. So I don't know. I guess, you know, we're beyond the point of seeking solutions through politics. You know, that's the takeaway of today, you know. And that moving forward, you know, there's two or three things that I'm going to be like dealing with as we go forward. And one is, you know, how to live well, you know, amidst this in mass insanity. Number two, this idea of what I addressed in my book is consciousness, right? This hard problem of consciousness and understanding yourself, creativity, and how, you know, how to break free of this, you know, control system they've set up. And then the other thing is catastrophism, which is like shocking to people. And I have to, you know, I'm not going to present that, you know, until I have, you know, start doing some full shows on that, till I could bring you, because that's like a real mind blower. That, you know, the sun is going to nova, micronova, most likely, and that there are some things happening, and these lies about climate and all this other stuff are just so like out in left field. So with all that said, good morning, and
Elvis has left the building. Thank you and good night.
I'll talk to you soon, real soon. Take care. Cheers.